Welcome, everybody. We are live. I am recording this from my studio here in Wheaton, and the breaking news is, of course, that Michael Madigan got handed his sentence today on, of course, Friday the 13th. Not a good day for Mike Madigan. It's certainly a day he's going to remember for a very, very long time. The judge in the end sentenced him to 7.5 years in prison, or 90 months, and also said that he needs to pay restitution of $2.5 million. So, he didn't quite get the sentencing that the federal prosecutors wanted. They wanted 12.5 years for Mike Madigan, but he is going to go to jail, and he will be, if he goes to jail and it happens quickly, and he will not be out of jail. That's if he survives it until well into his 90s. He's 83 years old now. 7.5 years later, that would make him over 90 years old. Of course, his wife put out that video statement, just a shameful video statement. I mean, it was so gratuitous. It was unbelievable. If you didn't see it, I think I posted it on my X, and so did a lot of people. But Shirley Madigan earlier this week, as a last-ditch effort, I guess, to get some sort of sympathy plea, said, Mike Madigan's taken really good care of me. He really cares about our kids. I really need his help. I just don't know what I'll do about him. Oh, well, didn't matter. And in fact, neither did the 250 letters that went to the judge on behalf of Mike Madigan saying, please, please give him some leniency. And that includes shamefully, absolutely shamefully, former Republican Governor Jim Edgar, who said Mike made mistakes, as we all did in our professional careers. Hell yeah, Edgar made mistakes, pension ramp being number one. But he did far more good in making the state a better place to live. That is not true. Then you have former Illinois First Lady Jane Carr Thompson said her late husband, four-term Republican Governor Jim Thompson, regarded Madigan as someone whose word could always be trusted, regardless of whether they were collaborating or fiercely opposed. Well, that's not what the judge found out. In fact, the judge said that Madigan showed no remorse whatsoever. And in fact, he said, you lied. In fact, you didn't just lie. You lied, and you didn't have to lie. And of course, Madigan, I thought Paris Schutz actually did a great job for Fox 32 in pointing out that, one, Madigan was known as a very meticulous man. And this is absolutely true for somebody who served under that guy for 6 years. I will tell you that he had everything buttoned down. He knew exactly what he was doing at all times, and he had complete control. And of course, Paris did point out it took a lot of hubris to actually have him go on the stand. He must have thought that he could convince the jury that he was a decent guy. None of that's true. Mike Madigan going to jail for 7.5 years for the small corruption scandal that they found him involved in is a pittance compared to what he's actually done to hurt the state of Illinois and the residents therein. But of course, it's really the voters' fault. They kept him in charge, and so did the powerful unions that control the state. They still continue to control the state. In fact, all the power now rests in the unions, not necessarily Mike Madigan, but in the unions. So anyway, the bribery scheme is what he got convicted of. He basically got no work jobs for his allies. And of course, ComEd, I mean, this should have been over a long time ago. How many years was it ago that ComEd said, hey, all right, we agree. Here's your $200 million. We agree. We definitely were part of a bribery scheme. And then you had, I'm losing track of the years. Was it in 2024? Was it last year that the 4 ComEd folks got convicted? Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the 4 ComEd people got convicted of corruption, and also Michael McLean. And now, of course, comes number 5, Mike Madigan himself. The judge wasn't buying anything that Mike Madigan said on the stand or any of the evidence that his defense put up. And apparently neither was the jury. He was convicted on 13 felony counts. He is hopefully going to spend a lot of time in jail. His net worth, by the way, was $40 million. He didn't rack that up as a state rep. Of course not. He racked that up as being a partner with Madigan and Gensen Dammer. They were one of the premier real estate companies, one of those companies that colluded voted to just basically lower your property taxes, and they did this year and year and year. I've reported before, but I think it's worth reporting again that, in 2014, when you looked at the top 12 sales, 7 of those top 12 sales in Chicago were represented by Madigan's firm. And on the books, after their sale price, they were on the books for an assessment value of about 43% of what they were actually finally sold at. So this is the game that he played. I'll lower your property taxes. He controlled everything. He controlled, of course, Barrios at that time, who controlled the assessment process in Cook County. So he was able to get his clients very favorable terms. And when you represent something like the Sears Tower, what do they call it now? I keep forgetting what they call it now. Babette, what do they call it now? The Willis Tower. Is it now the Willis Tower? Have they changed names again? Whatever. But when you actually represent something like that, and it goes for over $1 billion in sales, but you have it on the books for about $534 million, which is, I believe, the prices that I'm correct on those prices when it finally sold. Guess what? When you lower your property taxes and you're taking a 30% cut on lowering that value, that's how you rack up $40 million in net value. That's exactly what he did. So his real scheme was not necessarily what he did down in Springfield to raise money. His real scheme was controlling the property taxes and the property tax system, which he did through his law firm. But he also did that because he was the most powerful politician in the state of Illinois. He held that position for 36 years. He's a scumbag, absolute scumbag. And 250 people wrote him letters of recommendation, like leniency. What the hell's wrong with these people? So I love it. The judge said, no, you lied. I know you lied. And then this is a really good article. I really applaud the Illinois Policy Institute for putting this out. They said Madigan funding helped elect 57 sitting lawmakers. Number one on the list, Mary Edley Allen, over $1 million attributed to Mike Madigan's contributions. Suzanne Ness, she's that great Kane County, McHenry County state rep. Oh, yeah. $997,000. Tara Costa Howard, there she is. Tara Costa Howard, $885,000. She's still in office. Oh, by the way, she was the one who shamefully put that homeschool act in place, which went nowhere. Mark Walker, Mr. Good Guy. He comes off as just such a reasonable guy, the reasonable voice from Arlington Heights area. Oh, yeah, $824,000 from Madigan. Karina Villa, she would be your Marxist Aurora state senator. She's awful. She's god-awful. I mean, talk about a COVIDian nightmare. $801,000 from rep from Mike Madigan's coffers. She started out as a state rep. Marty Moylan. Oh boy, Marty, Party Marty. We used to call him Party Marty because he was always trying to put together parties for people down there. That's all they wanted to do. $785,000. Katie Stewart. Oh, good. She's the bathroom girl. So she's the gender neutral bathroom lady from good old Madison County area. Yeah, Madigan gave her $771,000. Janet Yang Rohr. Now there's a really good guy running against her that's going, that'll be great to get her out. She's Miss, we need climate change education. Oh, she's the one who also voted for decriminalization of fentanyl. Janet Yang Rohr voted for decriminalization of fentanyl, and then she comes back to try and cover up her vote by saying that we need to have fentanyl education for 9th through 12th graders, and then comes back the next year and says, from 6th grade on, you need to have fentanyl education. This is a woman who literally voted to decriminalize fentanyl. Why? She did it along with her girlfriend, Deb Conroy, at that time. Well, Mike Madigan gave her $746,000 to beat Grant Worley because he's such a nice guy. He just picks the best people. And there's Janet Yang Rohr with her MBA from the University of Chicago. She's so freaking smart, completely controlled by this guy, completely controlled by Madigan, who is a scumbag. But they don't care. They don't care. They only care about staying in power. Maura Hirschauer, Mossman. Oh my God, she's a piece of work. Barbara Hernandez, which is the new Marxist. Like if she could be in the congressional squad, she would absolutely be in the congressional squad. She'd fit right in with those guys. AOC and the team. In fact, she probably wants to be. She probably wants to be some sort of state rep. Maybe she had to run against Underwood or Foster to do it. But she definitely is, or a congressman. But that's definitely where she was. She's the one who gave you non-citizens having standard ID cards, letting non-citizens become police officers. She runs all of the illegal immigrant bills. Like, let's just give them everything we possibly can. Anyway, this is a list of the deplorables. Stephanie Kifowit made it. Oh yeah, that strong Marine. She's such a Marine. 3 years in the Marine Corps. I am so tough. Completely controlled by Mike Madigan. Completely controlled. All of them. They all need to go. All of them. And so this isn't just an indictment on Mike Madigan. This is an indictment on the entire freaking Democrat caucus, not just in the House, but in the Senate. And if you think anything changes, or like the big question now being asked of people like, oh, scumbag Pat Brady, who was on with Fox 32, like, why do you have that guy on? Oh, do you think this will actually change things? Do you think we'll become, there'll be less corruption in the state of Illinois? Hell no. Did you look at it? Don Harmon is facing over a $9 million fine for scamming on the way that he took in excess money for campaign contributions. Did anybody pay attention to that yet? Because that's exactly what's happening. No, Don Harmon's just as corrupt. Oh, and by the way, we're going to get to it real quick here, but I've got a bunch of the clips from Pritzker's embarrassing testimony up in front of Congress. We're going to cover that too. I put that in the title. We're going to cover that. But I mean, I just maybe he's having his last meal. Maybe Madigan's having his last meal at that really nice Italian restaurant he likes to go to. I went there actually with a girlfriend. My girlfriend's like, hey, let's just go to dinner there. One time Madigan was there. Yeah, sat in the back corner, whatever he has as usual, I'm sure. He recognized me, didn't say a word. So I don't care. The guy's going to jail. He is. And it's about time. But he should be going to jail for a lot longer. And so should all the people that put him in power. And I hope that there's no retrial on the 4 ComEd people. They should be going to jail too, right alongside them. I don't know. Maybe they can make our license plates all together. Have a little craft party. Yeah, that's who these people are. Okay, so just as bad as Mike Madigan, really, when it comes to destroying the Illinois economy, destroying people's opportunity here, falling in with the most radical people that you can find in politics this day is, of course, Governor Pritzker. And, this guy, I got to tell you, our 2 of our Republican state congressmen actually questioned him, and they did a good job. But I found it very entertaining to hear from Congressman Gill from Texas, Congressman Donalds from Florida, and just how they handled Pritzker. It was glorious. So we're going to start first with, I believe we're going to start with, I'm going to take him and remove Madigan from the stage. And we're going to put up Congressman Gill, and this is what he had to say.
Your state each year?
No, sir, I do not.
Costs over $780 per family per year. That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And may I ask, what do you mean by the cost?
That is a lot of money.
The cost.
Let's pause there just for a minute. So the question was, which I think got cut off when we were clipping this, the question is how much do illegal immigrants cost the state of Illinois? And Governor Pritzker answers is, oh, I don't know. I'm just the governor. Here you go.
Of illegal immigration.
Let me ask you, do you know who Franklin Jose Pena Ramos is?
Are you talking about the federal government's cost to the state of Illinois as a result of the failed
Ramos is?
Immigration policy?
It's a yes or no question. I'll take that as a no. Do you know who Jose Martinez Rangel is?
No, sir, I do not.
You don't. You should. Those are 2 men who came into this country illegally, raped and murdered 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary in my home state of Texas. Do you think that elected officials should have welcomed them into our communities?
Sir, before they committed a crime, I'm not sure what you're asking.
Do you think that they should have been welcomed into our communities? That's a very straightforward question.
Someone who commits murder, no. Someone who commits murder should be apprehended.
Why did you state during Biden's border crisis that illegal aliens, quote, should have been welcomed and helped by elected officials?
When you say illegal aliens, these are people who are given asylum.
And helped into our communities.
People who are asylum seekers.
That's an easy yes or no question.
You're mischaracterizing them.
It is your position that they should have been welcomed into our communities. Is that correct?
There were asylum seekers who were here
statement.
legally.
And then they went on and murdered and raped 12-year-old Jocelyn.
Okay, I mean, great points here. Gil does a great job picking Pritzker apart and you know, and like, you look, Pritzker couldn't, he stumbled all over himself. He couldn't answer the question, didn't want to answer the question. And in fact, all the governors, because it was Tim Walz from Minnesota, Kathy Hochul from New York, and Governor Pritzker, and they were, of course, called on the carpet because they all have sanctuary policies in place, although Walz wanted to deny that Minnesota officially had sanctuary policy in place. The truth is that they had a number of policies that are attractive to illegals, and so that they show up there. And Pritzker says, "Oh, but I don't know how much we spend on illegals. I have no idea. I just run the state. Oh, by the way, I just run the state, but I have no idea what's going on here." And then, of course, he wanted to deny that he welcomes illegals, and in fact, he has welcomed them a number of times, and everybody is well aware of that. Let's go to this clip next from Byron Donalds.
Thank you, Chairman. To piggyback off my colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state? Doesn't your government keep track of that?
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state, as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget, and we're very closely. And in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep track of your money. Because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem.
Okay, I mean, good points all around, Byron Donalds. Honestly, so you heard Pritzker there. First of all, saying that what illegal immigrants? What does that mean? What is that all about? Has no idea. And then he says specifically, well, what about Medicaid? Listen. You know what? Pritzker's administration, an Illinois policy put this out too just recently. They said spending on migrant care has seen massive cost overruns and a troubling lack of transparency. Here's how Pritzker is spending over $2.5 billion in taxes. Healthcare is the primary cost. Recent audits. So there was an entire an auditor general audit about illegal immigrant healthcare. And Pritzker says, well, what do you mean about Medicaid? And then he wants to say, these are federal programs. No, sir, you're spending actual state money on illegal immigrant health care. You had HBIS and HBIA, which is health care benefits for immigrant seniors and then for immigrant adults. Massive amounts of cost overruns. You know, Illinois policy says it's $2.5 billion in taxes since it first began. I believe, yeah, I'm sure that's the case, but I'm sure that there's far more of it. And in fact, I'm going to get into some of the far more of it later on, but let's continue on here. So, Danny Davis, let's do Danny Davis first here. Let's add Danny to the stage.
Here, and I want to thank all of the witnesses, all of the governors who've been here and who've been here all day. But I also want to thank you, Governor Pritzker, for the outstanding leadership you have provided to the state of Illinois. Our state is characterized as being progressive and humane. Could you share why we think that's important, you as governor and I as a citizen resident?
Well, we had to do a lot of reform of our state government in order to get there, but it's important to me that we provide health care, that we provide education for all of our people, that we have a policies.
Okay, so now he's admitting that he's providing health care to everybody and that he has a policy to do that and that he has that responsibility. Now, he doesn't say it's illegals, but that's exactly what Davis is talking to him about. And so he does admit about illegal, you know, that he's providing health care to illegals here, and he didn't prior to that. And then, I mean, he matches Davis's slow talk Meanwhile, he stumbles around when the other people do it. This is just so, he's such a liar, just like Madigan's a liar, Pritzker's a liar.
And a government that take care of particularly those who are most vulnerable in our society.
He doesn't take care of the most vulnerable. He doesn't take care of the disabled, the developmentally disabled. I told you how he just simply cut hours in this latest budget. He kept the appropriation the same, but cut hours for the service workers, for the developmentally disabled in the state of Illinois. That's what he did. That's what he's done for the last 3 years. This guy's a liar.
Including working families, including the middle class. And it's very important to me that we be known for that. We are a state that is, frankly, cares a great deal about our fellow man. We are
They don't. In fact, the first thing they want to do is kill them in the womb. That's the first thing they don't care about is, the unborn. But he does not care. Listen, guess what's happening in, about 15 days, 18 days. Oh, your gas taxes are going up again July 1st because that's what they do. They automatically go up July 1st because of him.
State that is humanitarian in so many ways, and that stands up for the law. And so I'm very proud of our state. We have the greatest state in the country.
Stands up for the lawless. That's what he stands up for, lawlessness. I mean, this is the Safety Act, right? You've had multiple migrants. And in fact, we didn't pull all these clips. There's so much. I think the hearing's worth listening to. You can catch it at a number, you just YouTube it and you can find it anywhere. But no, you don't stand up for the law at all. And you're a COVIDian freak to begin with. You took away our constitutional rights to religion and whatnot. So here's more.
The land of Lincoln, and we say that proudly because we know that Lincoln would be a Democrat today if he were alive.
Lincoln would be a Democrat today if he were alive. Now, that is absolutely ridiculous. Look, it just gets better. We'll just go on here. We're going to talk. This is what Mary Miller had to say. Let's see.
Reported. You have stated that Illinois will not allow local police departments to assist ICE as they work to address the illegal immigration crisis that you helped to create. In light of the crimes that I have mentioned, do you stand by your policy of tying the hands of Illinois law enforcement? Yes or no, sir?
Congresswoman Miller, I am
Yes or
not
no,
going
sir?
to be lectured to by somebody who
I'm
extols
reclaiming
the
my
virtue
time.
of
I'm
Adolf
reclaiming my
Hitler,
time, Chairman.
of somebody
In
who has allowed the
2024,
pardoning of January 6th.
I'm reclaiming my time. In 2024, after the presidential election, you stated on MSNBC that, and I quote, "I am going to do everything that I can to protect our undocumented immigrants," end quote. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to submit a Fox News report into the record titled, "Dem Governor J.B. Pritzker vows to do everything I can to protect our undocumented immigrants."
Congresswoman, I was
These
talking about
policies
the people who
are
have
not
lived in our
only
state for
deadly,
decades
These
now.
policies are not only deadly, but they have cost Illinois taxpayers billions to the tune of $3 billion since 2022. Governor, your state budget doesn't balance without massive yearly tax increases.
Okay, so as you can see, a lot of other ancillary questions came up and things came up. But part of the reason that she's talking about the budget here is because Raja Krishnamurthy had gone on there and praised Governor Pritzker for balanced budgets for the last 7 years. That's not true. It's simply not true because they never pay their full pension payment. A lot of that came with tax increases. And there's actually no, I mean, if you want to include debt as part of revenue, which is what you would have to do to say it's a balanced budget, that's the only way that you could say that it's balanced. Now, let's continue on because Darren LaHood, and listen to the combativeness of J.B. Pritzker compared to how he treated Danny Davis, compared to him combating both Mary Miller and Darren LaHood. If he were smart, he would have just sort of sat there and taken it and let them go on their rants and let them say what they're going to say, and then maybe just given a polite response back. Instead, he didn't, and he looks so petty. He looks like a bully that he is. He's very prickly, you understand, because he's the rich kid who has never been told no, never been told that he's wrong, and it really is showing its light in this, in the way that handles both Mary Miller and Darren LaHood. Here's Darren.
As you hear these stories, and there's many others, does it cause you to rethink your sanctuary city policies or regret some of the policies you've taken as it relates to sanctuary cities?
Thank you, Congressman. I'm glad to see you here. I know you were unwilling to meet with your constituents about the Medicaid cuts that you voted for.
So answer the question. I thought you might not answer the question whether reclaiming I'm going to reclaim my time.
Okay, so that's a really good example. So he wants to talk about Medicaid cuts. There are no Medicaid cuts unless you're a single able-bodied adult, and that would come with work requirements. You have to work. You can't sit on your ass at home and get Medicaid if you're a single able-bodied adult. If you're a single able-bodied adult and you're still living in poverty, you can get Medicaid. But you have to have a work. You have to have work going on. That's all they're asking. There's not cuts. And by the way, that all happened with the Obamacare expansion. So here you go, more from Darren.
Because you did not answer the question, which I thought you would. When I asked, when you hear about victims that suffer violence because of illegal migrants in a sanctuary city state, you said no, it hasn't caused you to rethink. Reclaiming my time. Now, Governor Pritzker, you mentioned reclaiming my time. I have the time. I have the time.
All the federal government. You all have the ability to fix this.
Governor Pritzker,
do your job. Do your job.
Okay, wait a second. Listen to this very carefully because I want to give you a little bit of a recap here. Darren LaHood is going to refer to a letter that was brought up in earlier testimony by Pritzker saying that he wrote, and this was in response to another congressman. He's saying, no, I did tell the Biden administration that they need to do something about illegal immigration. I wrote them a letter. Well, Darren LaHood has the receipts. So listen to this because Pritzker knows what's coming, I believe. And this is why he is trying to talk over Darren and trying to bully him. But listen to what Darren says here.
Congressman.
Yeah, I would deflect too instead of answer those questions. Now, you said earlier, in a response to a question from Chairman Comer, that you have been critical and had been critical of President Biden and his border policies. And you cited a letter, October 2nd, 2023, that you authored. So I pulled the letter, and I was looking for this criticism of the Biden border policy. 3 pages, nothing in there. Now, I'm going to submit for the record so everybody can see it. October 2nd, 2023, letter from J.B. Pritzker to President Biden. Not one mention of being critical of the border.
Without objection to order.
Thank you. Now,
Public statements on national programs about this.
It's not your time. Governor Pritzker, it was mentioned earlier, all these rosy statistics about Illinois, but I want to mention a couple that weren't mentioned. Illinois is the leader in outmigration of people leaving the state of Illinois.
Okay, Darren went through a laundry list.
Governor,
it was just getting a little bit too long to do everything here, so we cut it short. But he went through a laundry list because, of course, they were arguing, Chicago's growing. It's we've got all this growth going. No, you don't. Outmigration is tremendous. What is it? I don't know. 2 million people have left the state. It's just in the last 20 years. It's been a huge outmigration, and these guys just want to deny it. So. All right, so we're going to take that down. And, before we go any further, though, just a few things here. The idea that his hands are clean, that he's not funding these things, that is not true. Do we have the clip from CBS? Do we upload that one? Oh, okay, we didn't upload that one. Darn it. Okay. All right, well, we're going to have to add to this because we have a really good clip that kind of tells you some of the actual other ancillary agencies that Pritzker is funding that is actually creating havoc in the state of Illinois. One of them is the Illinois Coalition of Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Now, these guys in this Fox 32 clip, they are the ones who have hosted these anti-ICE protest marches that literally shut down Lakeshore Drive on Tuesday and are going to be up. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's listen to this clip. Take a listen here.
We're marching again here in Chicago. An anti-ICE demonstration shut down Michigan Avenue during rush hour. Casey Cronus is live downtown tonight with the latest. Casey.
Dawn, hundreds of people marched on Michigan Avenue, rallying against President Trump's immigration crackdown. But unlike Tuesday's protest, it remained peaceful today with no arrests. As anti-ICE protests ramp up in Los Angeles, Chicago organizations are planning demonstrations of their own, condemning a surge in deportations and the potential for local workplace raids.
These past few days have been heavy. The fear is real. We are here to say, ICE out of Chicago, ICE out of Illinois, ICE out of everywhere!
Led by the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, hundreds took to Michigan Avenue, marching north until they reached Wacker Drive. As they rounded the corner, Wabash was blocked by salt trucks and fencing, preventing demonstrators from getting any closer to Trump Tower. Still, they stopped to send a message before returning to Grant Park.
Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation!
Okay, so you know what? Here's the deal. Pritzker funds that very organization that organized that entire march that shut down Lakeshore Drive. He funds the Illinois Coalition of Immigrant and Refugee Rights. They've been funded for a long time in our state budget. Last year, they got $1.65 million. We have not gone through the entire budget yet to find out how much they got this year. But I mean, the idea that he doesn't fund this is absolutely ridiculous. In the budget alone for this year, so far, we found $38 million for immigrant services, $169 million for welcoming centers, millions more to the Indo-American Center. Oh, they want to pretend like they're good actors, but it's not true. They want to pretend like they're just do citizenship. But actually, the Indo-American Center is another one of those groups that simply continues to push left-wing agenda stuff, and they'll want to. They keep ICE out. They want to keep ICE out all the time. They teach immigrants how to evade it. In fact, that's another thing that they do. So here, let me see if I can add this to the stage. Here you go. You can just see their funding. This is straight from the document that we produced. Here's how much that they got last year in funding. Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Okay, so they're not the only ones, though. There's also this group here. Illinois Doge Profile, the Centro de Trabajadores Unidos gets $4 million to help illegal aliens evade ICE. This is another one of those left-wing groups that is getting money that Pritzker funds in his budget that work against you, the actual taxpayer. We have a lot more of them. In fact, I pulled a Facebook post from them. Yesterday, this is actually from that March. Yesterday, Centro TU, alongside thousands of people, took to the streets of Chicago to demand IRS stop data sharing with ICE and deportations and worker exploitation. May Day was a show of solidarity, and May Day was a show of solidarity and collective power. Immigrant, labor, community voices rising together. This is what they are about. They're working against you, the taxpayer, for their own thing. Another group that was highlighted, and this was by Gill, Congressman Gill from Texas, was the Muslim Civic Coalition. Now, I've been trying to find whether or not where they were funded in the budget. I didn't find it, but he claims that Pritzker funded the Muslim Civic Coalition. Regardless, if he doesn't fund them, he funds a lot of those types of organizations, all of them looking for their own special interests. This is the problem. When you have people on your streets waving another country's flag, you have to wonder where their loyalty stands. Why are they here? Why are they trying to change our laws and make them favorable to their particular entity, their particular ethnicity, their particular group? Why are they taking our money to do that instead of just being like an American used to be when they came and immigrated here? They would also assimilate. That's not what they want. They want their own organization recognized. And in fact, the Muslim Civic Coalition has 6 major initiatives. One is advocacy and policy campaign to advance left center policies. Another one is a bill to protect Muslims from hate crimes following the October 7th. And in fact, the leader of this particular organization, the Muslim Civic Coalition, which by the way is the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, their leader is also on the hate crimes commission that Pritzker put her on that. Another one of the things they want to do is they want census and redistricting reform to ensure Muslims are counted accurately in the state of Illinois. But actually what they want is they want Muslims carved out for particular state rep seats, for particular congressional districts, which is exactly how Delia Ramirez got where she is in Congress. They carved that out for a Hispanic person to take that seat, and that's how Delia got it. I mean, everybody knows that. It's obvious that they did it. They pulled in Elgin, Pennsonville, and they went all the way down to Little Village to do that. So they're doing this very much intentionally, taking out those Hispanic carve-outs. And so that's why Delia now represents the 3rd, because that was built for, well, the Muslims want the same thing. Yeah, and then they basically want to establish their own statewide networks of left center politicians. That's what they want to do. Now, it was interesting because Representative Luna, she brought up some of this as well. So let's listen to Representative Luna. She's a Florida congresswoman.
Educate the American people on what's really happening right now with these riots. So I see right now there's a lot of back and forth and finger pointing, but the fact is that there is a financial tie to these riots, tied to immigration, that actually leads right back to the Communist Chinese Party. Straight up, the LA riots have been organized by an organization dubbed PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, funded by billionaire Chinese activist Neville Singham, who spends parts of his year by living in Shanghai. In addition to that, although he is not a registered foreign agent, he accepts a lot of money from the CCP and then turns around and funnels it right into some of these violent protests that we're seeing.
Okay, so speaking of this man, Roy Singham, Chicago City Wire did a little bit of an expose on him. And they noted a one-time Chicago software and business owner is a major donor for a communist activist group funding violent street protests in Los Angeles. Neville Roy Singham's Party for Socialism and Libertarianism printed and handed out signs used by protesters, according to Twitter researcher Data Republican. Singham 71 funds the PSL through another pro-communist organization called the People's Forum, according to the New York Times. In '93, Singham founded his company ThinkWorks in an office in Lincoln Park. Before moving to Shanghai, he spent time living in Hyde Park and Evanston. Singham and his then wife, Nancy Weeks Singham, also lived in on North Grove Avenue. This got really detailed on where he lived, near Lake Michigan. His sister also lived in Lincoln Park. So he's kind of from the Chicago area. He's this radical activist who now lives in Shanghai and yet is funding all of these Marxist people that are out there to try and take away your ability to live the life that you want to. They want mass immigration in here. They want you to spend your money and your wealth on them. And so this is what they're doing. Now, nationwide, they have these No Kings rallies going on in Illinois. In fact, there are 43 of them planned for tomorrow. I'll be in LaSalle County, by the way, not at a No Kings rally, but instead a rally for the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army. At least that's why I'm going to this rally. I know it's also Trump's birthday. It's just a pro-American rally, by the way, being hosted by LaSalle County Republicans. So I'll be there. But if you want to go and, I don't know, counter protest, you could. But there's 43 of these. You can go to, you can find this, and if you Google it, you'll find it in a number of publications, or you can go to the nokingsrally.org and that address, and you can find them as well. But if you're in DuPage County, well, I'll just list off a few of these: Chicago, Alton, Arlington Heights, Bartlett, Belleville, Bloomington, Buffalo Grove, Carbondale, Carlinville, Charleston, Danville, DeKalb, Des Plaines, Edgewater, Effingham, Elgin, Elmhurst, Evanston, Freeport, Galesburg, Geneseo, and more and more. Naperville has one too. Oak Park, of course, Schaumburg, Springfield, Yorkville, Urbana. So there's a whole slew of these rallies going on tomorrow. Why don't you go take some pictures and counter protest and see if you see your neighbors, so you can find out who they are. But anyways, it's been a very, very eventful week, not just here in Illinois with the Madigan sentencing, but actually around the country with the Marxist sanctuary state governors showing up in Congress, and the riots still continuing in Los Angeles, and some of the violence happening also in Chicago, which you did see some arrests earlier this week. We'll see what tomorrow brings. And then, of course, across the entire world with the attack by the Israelis on Iran to shut down their nuclear program. So it's a very unsettling time right now, I would say. And so we just need to hold fast to our principles and keep our heads up, because we cannot let these people control governance anymore. They can't in the state of Illinois. They're destroying the livelihoods of people. And the bottom line is we win, they lose. That's how it's got to be from now on. If you do want to, one more thing is, before I leave you, we are having our annual dinner on June 26th. You can sign up for it at breakthrough-ideas.com. And we're asking the question, 60 years post-Civil Rights Act, has it all really become a race hustle instead? We've got C.L. Bryant, producer of Runaway Slave and Trump Advisory Board member. We've got Pastor Corey Brooks coming as well, and John Anthony from Black and Right. And we're going to put the question to them. They can answer that for us. Has the Civil Rights Act really become a race hustle now? Where are we in America 60 years post that act? Thanks a lot for joining me on this Facebook Live. There's so much more to share with you, but I know time is running out for everybody. So that's it for tonight. Thank you.